Please be seated. The record will show the presence of the jury, the defendant, and all counsel. Mr. Nurmi, you may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Arias, before we delve too far into the text messages, I neglected to ask when you were talking about your friendship with Rachel Blaney and her suggestion that you go to the bishop. Did you have a conversation with Travis about her suggestion?
Yes, and just for the record, it's Rachel Bennett. Sorry.
Bennett, I'm sorry.
That's okay. It was Rachel Bennett.
What's that?
It was. I think she's divorced.
Okay. Rachel. You have this conversation with Rachel, and you talk to Travis about it, and based on your conversation with Rachel, it sounded like you wanted to go to the bishop. Is that accurate?
I felt it necessary at that point based on what Rachel told me.
Did Travis want you to go to the bishop?
No.
What was your understanding of the reasons that he did not want you to go to the bishop?
He had had this problem before. It was embarrassing to him, and he did not want to go to his bishop. I offered, that's okay, that I'll just go to mine. And that's when I learned that if I go to my bishop, there's a high potential that his bishop, my bishop would call his bishop, and then he'd get called into the bishop's office, and that would create problems for him.
Why would that? What was your understanding of what problems that would create for him?
I wasn't sure. I just know that he and Deanna had their temple recommends taken away at one point. That's what he told me, because of the same activities.
What was your understanding of Mr. Alexander's, for lack of a better way of putting it, status in the church?
Well, I was actually real nervous about talking to him because he baptized me.
What was the understanding of the status?
She's explaining.
In order to baptize, you have to hold the priesthood. He was a holder of the Melchizedek priesthood, which is a greater priesthood. So my understanding of it at that time was that when you hold the priesthood, you're delegated with a certain authority to act for God. He had read the Book of Mormon 23 times at that point. He could quote hundreds of scriptures, maybe more, from memory. He knew all the doctrine through and through. At least I believed he did, including what Mormons refer to as deep doctrine, which are types of doctrine that aren't immediately shared with non-members, if at all, and they aren't immediately shared with new members either, but maybe eventually, depending on their progress in the church. And I mean, he wore his temple garments. He went to the temple. He'd been a church member for over a decade. He baptized me. It just seemed like he was a lot farther along in his knowledge and authority in the church than I was. I hadn't even been a member for a year at this point, and a year is a significant milestone in the church.
How so?
After being a church member for a year, if you've lived worthily for that year, you are eligible to enter the temple.
So, are you telling us then that you felt as if his knowledge was so much greater than yours, so his decisions on these issues or his beliefs on these issues were more informed than yours?
I believed he was superior to me in all matters of our mutual religion, and I understood his embarrassment, and I also I believed that he understood where the line should be drawn as far as the law of chastity goes, and that, I don't know, I mean, we did go all the way like a few days before, so I knew that we had crossed that line, but, I mean, I knew for certain all the other things aside. But I didn't want to cause any problems for him.
So after you had this discussion about telling the bishop, you wanted to, he didn't, and you didn't. Is that accurate?
Well, I can't really even say I wanted to. I felt like I had to. It was not like I was looking forward to it.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Getting back to these text messages, and I know you've had a chance to look at them a little further. Rather than going backwards, perhaps, we'll go back in time and move towards 2008. Earlier during your testimony, we saw a couple pictures of that you testified were pictures of Mr. Alexander's penis that he had sent to you. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Having reviewed those text messages, are there other times in which he sent you pictures of his penis for erection?
Yes.
And you remember when those were, having looked at the text messages? And if you need to refresh your recollection, just let us know.
Yes. They would have been February 2008.
Okay. And the messages you see, are those just the verbiage, or are there more pictures associated with those text messages you have before you?
There are pictures associated with these text messages, but the pictures aren't here, just the text.
Okay. How often did Mr. Alexander, well, we've heard of 2 occasions when he sent you a picture of his penis. Were there other occasions when he did that?
There were other occasions.
Do you remember how many more?
Several, not tons, but there were many times.
Okay. What was that?
I mean, I couldn't count.
Okay.
Somewhere around 10. I mean, over 10, under 20, I would say.
Okay. Did you ever request these pictures?
Sometimes.
Why?
I requested pictures of him, but not his, that, if that's what you mean.
Is that, what do you mean by that?
His penis.
Are you embarrassed to say penis?
Oh, yeah, well, in public, yeah.
Okay. You never requested pictures of his penis, but he sent them to you. At the same time, having reviewed some of these text messages, were there times when he would request pictures of you via text message?
Yes.
And having reviewed some of those text messages, and if you need to take a look at it, just let us know. When did those requests happen?
They happened many times, but these text messages show there was someone on February. February 25th, 2008.
Now, looking at February 5th, 2008.
25th.
Huh?
25th.
25th, excuse me, 2008. There are a series of messages. Well, let me ask you this. When you look at these messages, whose phone are these based on? When a message says incoming, does that mean incoming to your phone or incoming to Mr. Alexander's phone?
It would be incoming to Travis's phone, like a message he received.
Okay. And on the 25th of February 2008, it appears there were numerous text messages that day. Would that be fair to your recollection?
Yes, we were going back and forth for the whole weekend, I think.
For what?
Almost the whole weekend.
Okay. And if you look at those messages, one could get the impression that you were texting Travis and he wasn't texting you back. To your recollection of events, is that accurate?
No, that's not accurate.
Are there text messages that you sent Mr. Alexander that are not included in the data that is before you?
Yes, I was responding to him, and he was responding to me back and forth for this entire thread, but all of his they must be deleted because they're not here.
Okay. You said, before we get into the content of some of these, you said that you were going back and forth that weekend. Was there something going on that weekend between you and Mr. Alexander that isn't reflected in these text messages?
Yes. Well, it's not very detailed in the text messages.
Okay. Since it's not, please provide us that detail. Was there an argument? Was there a vacation? What was going on in the February 25th, or I guess it was a weekend? What was going on that weekend?
Well, it started as an invitation. He was going to take me somewhere I got some articles of organization for him to start an LLC, and he wanted me to do all the footwork for it, and he would pay to have it published. And so he said, by doing that, I want to take you out to dinner to this place that you'll really love. And he didn't want to tell me where it was. He just said, it's something totally you'd love it. And so it was something he kind of talked up a little. And it wasn't like set in stone, this date, but I guess it was in his mind. Otherwise, I would have never taken off because it sounded like a fun date. But instead, I was talking to Gus Searcy, and he was doing a presentation in Las Vegas. And I went out there for the weekend to see the presentation and go to a few things, just shows and things around in Las Vegas, just a weekend to relax a little bit. And I didn't tell Travis I was going, and he got very upset about it and offended and hurt that he accused me of ditching out on our date.
Okay. So this was the reason for the flurry of text messages then?
No, actually, because what happened was after that argument, he apologized and I apologized because I felt like, I didn't mean to skip out on this date. I didn't understand that it was set in stone. So I felt really bad because he seemed very upset about it. And after that, just like almost always after we're done apologizing, it led to something sexual, and so we started going back and forth on our text messages, and they got dirtier and dirtier and dirtier, and so it was kind of like just foreplay to when I got back to Mesa.
You mentioned, like it always does, it got sexual after an argument. And you mentioned make-up sex before. Why did it get, from your perspective, why did it get sexual after an argument?
Travis had this cute little term called de-stressing, and I thought that was interesting. So it's something it was like a code word in our relationship. So when he was stressed out, his way to de-stress would be sex. So arguments were stressful, and that was a good way to blow off steam and feel better afterward.
By sex, are we including oral sex, anal sex, or vaginal sex? Is that what,
Yeah, all of the above.
all the above was de-stressing?
Well, whatever the activity entailed that day.
Okay. Now, you mentioned you were in Vegas, and from what you told us earlier, you said it became sexual, and you said he was asking for pictures that day?
Yes.
Okay. And by pictures, would I be correct in assuming we're talking about nude photographs?
Yes.
Okay. And when you received these requests from Mr. Alexander for nude photographs of yourself, where were you?
I was hanging out with Gus in his motorhome. We were watching The Prestige.
Okay. When Mr. Alexander sent you the text messages requesting dirty pictures, did you have dirty pictures as you said? Did you have those on your phone?
No, I didn't keep him on my phone.
Okay. So, did the request then involve making a new, current picture of yourself?
In order to fulfill the request, I would have had to.
Okay. Did you end up fulfilling that request?
I did my best.
And I know it might be embarrassing, but what did you do to do your best?
Obviously, I'm not going to do anything like that with Gus there, so I went into the bathroom, and it's a motorhome, so it's a very small, cramped bathroom, and he wanted a photo, and the lighting was poor, I just did the best I could.
What did he want a photo of?
Oh, my butt.
So do you remove your clothing to take a picture of your buttocks for Mr. Alexander?
Not all my clothing, just my pants
Okay.
and my underwear.
What was that?
Just my pants and my underwear.
Why do you do that?
Because he responded positively or favorably toward those things, so there was incentive in that regard.
Okay. Before we move off the subject, did you fulfill requests like this more than this one occasion?
Yes.
Can you recall another occasion when you were asked to do this?
I'm drawing a blank. I know that was something that happened in our relationship, but I'm drawing a blank.
Okay. It wasn't uncommon for you then to get these requests and go off to fulfill them. Is that fair to say?
It wasn't uncommon, but it wasn't very frequent.
Okay. But you never stored these photos on your phone. Is that what you were telling us before?
They got deleted, yes.
Okay. So, were they all requests? Did he request that you send pictures of particular body parts and at different occasions?
He only requested that specifically, that I remember.
Okay. How did you feel doing that?
Kind of like a voyeur a little bit. It wasn't, I don't know, I felt a little awkward, like if it was a picture that wasn't very flattering, I would delete it and try again, and then delete it and try again, and then if it was like, okay, that one looks, he'll like that one, so I would send it, and it wasn't so much that was uncomfortable, but it was outweighed by the fact that I liked his response in return.
And so when you sent him these pictures, you see in these text messages positive responses from him, or are those not present as it relates to February 25th?
His responses are not present, but I did receive positive, they were not angry or negative by any means.
When you say positive response, what are we talking about? And if you need to look back at the entire dialogue of that day, please do so.
I can see that I'm responding to things he said, and we were trying to top each other. His responses aren't here. But there are different things that we're talking about.
Okay. Would it be fair to characterize his responses on that day as sexual?
Yes, exactly that.
Okay. One of the things that we spoke about earlier was, well, let me ask you this. Did he send you, looking at these text messages, did he send you other text messages of a sexual nature?
Yes, he did.
Can you recall any of those for us?
There's one in here. I mean, I can find it if you'd like. It was
Sure.
Okay. I'm not finding the one I was looking for.
Okay. Jodi, let me back up a step then and ask you this. Apart from the sexual text messages, well, let me ask you this. We talked about, before we completely get off this sexual text messages, did he ever ask you, ever make reference or request of you to wear your hair in braids in these text messages?
Yes, I remember that.
Okay. Do you ever remember him making specific requests to you via text message to wear the Spider-Man underwear?
I remember him making requests. I don't know if it was over text or the phone, but I remember responding about them in the text messages.
Okay. Yesterday, you told us about a trip you made to Walgreens in order to obtain candy that would be used as sexual props. Do you remember sending or receiving a text message related to that?
I remember sending and receiving text messages that night. I don't know if we were referring to the Pop Rocks, or I think it was more about how I'm not comfortable going into the store. I think I put, because I'm dressed like a slut.
Okay. Did Travis ever send you text messages in which he was, and I forget the words you used earlier, so I'm just going to say that if he was mean to you in
Yes.
these text messages? Recount for us, if you will, times that he was mean to you in these text messages.
Can I look at the text
Yes.
messages? Okay. He got meaner after I moved, so skip to that.
Arias, are those text messages you have in front of you, are they dated?
Yes.
You take a look at the text messages related to the time around March 30th of 2008.
Yeah. If you want to reference the number, you can look at that.
No, just review them and describe for us what Mr. Alexander was conveying to you in those messages.
It's a fight that started because I hung up on him because he was swearing at me.
To your understanding, why was Mr. Alexander swearing at you?
He was swearing because he got upset. I don't really remember what this argument was about. There were so many, but he mentioned something about something having to do with prepaid legal.
And was he mad at you or mad in general related to something at prepaid legal?
It appears that he was mad at me because I was stressing him out because I made a comment about not making Players Club, which is a monthly qualification. The Players Club is, I don't remember it specifically now, it's been so long, but it was a level of production. They counted certain memberships that you sold or recruits as counters, and so a certain number of counters each month got you into the Players Club.
And I got a little confused there. He was mad at you for commenting on how he didn't get into Players Club?
How I didn't. He said here I was moaning about it, but I think I just mentioned it. I don't remember moaning about it.
You don't remember what?
He says he was talking about how I was moaning about not making Players Club.
Okay. About him not making.
About me not making
Okay.
Players Club.
And so
He always made Players Club.
What's that?
He always made Players Club.
Okay. And that Players Club is a level in prepaid legal?
It's more a qualification. It doesn't have to do with your actual level. You can be any level and be in Players Club or not, I think.
Okay. So he was mad at you for not making Players Club?
No, he was mad at me bringing up the fact that I didn't make Players Club that month.
Okay. And that led to him cussing at you?
Yes, I hung up because he started swearing.
In general or at you? Was he calling you names? Do you remember what he said?
I don't remember, but he was being very negative toward me, and I didn't like listening to it, so I hung up so I didn't have to hear it anymore.
Okay. Was it hard on you to hang up on him?
Yes, very hard.
Had he hung up on you before?
I think he has. Nothing really stands out, but yeah, I'm sure he has.
When you hung up on him, how did he react? Is that what we see in the text messages? Without telling us what is said, is that what we see in the text messages, his reaction?
It's not about hanging up. It's more about just more of the same that he was talking about in the conversation that caused me to hang up.
Okay. Was this commentary on your abilities within prepaid legal?
No, it was about he's accusing me of stressing him out.
So when you brought up your problems to him, he accused you of stressing him out and began yelling at you. Is that right?
Yes, but I don't think that's what the conversation was supposed to be about. It appears that I was trying to tell him something that would be to his benefit, not advice, but a piece of information that he could use.
Okay. Earlier you had mentioned, I'm going to draw your attention to 4/8 of '08. And there's a text message there that lasts about does last more than an entire page at timestamp 1921. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Was that the reference to the argument you had earlier about this person that was Michelle or Mimi or Marie?
It was Marie, but this is a completely new argument about something different the next day.
What is this argument about then the next day?
Before I left his house, the day I pulled out of his house, I wish I could remember what it was because it's sentimental, but he had some kind of drawing or something that he was giving to me. And because he was giving it to me, I asked him to sign it, and he signed it and said something nice on it. And then I forgot it as I was leaving. It was just a spacey thing that I did, and he got very upset and accused me of being rude and insensitive and dramatic because I left it. He thought I left it behind on purpose, like I was trying to tell him something, but it was really just something I forgot to take with me.
Okay. And he was upset with you about that, forgetting it?
Yeah, he was very mad. He thought that because he had signed it, now he can't give it to anybody else. So it's like, and I don't know, I guess because I didn't take it, he thought I didn't want it, but I did want it, I just forgot it.
Okay. And I don't understand why he was angry. Did you ever explain to him that you just forgot it?
Yeah, I explained extensively here that it was just an honest mistake. I just forgot it. I forgot about it. There were so many other things going on when I was leaving.
That was the day you were having the fight.
Yes.
And he was flipping you off as you were leaving, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess I'm a little confused, and maybe you can enlighten us. What was the big deal? Why couldn't it just be mailed to you or brought up to you when he was coming to Wairika?
I don't know. He mailed other things to me after I moved, and there were plans for him to come to Wairika. It was paper, whatever it was, that I'm trying to remember what it was. So he felt that it was just another dramatic thing that I did, and I don't know, he was kind of a bully about it.
Kind of a what?
A bully. It's
Okay.
just more bullying.
I want to move away from the text messages and show you what has been marked as Exhibit 399, if I may approach.
Okay.
Take a look at that for us, Ms. Arias. See if you recognize that.
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
It's just a little rhyme that I wrote when I was up very late one night, sent it to him, just to be silly.
Him being home.
Travis.
And do you recall from looking at that when you sent that particular item?
I sent it on May 19th, 2008 at 3:15 in the morning.
Okay. I'm going to move to admit Exhibit 399.
No objection.
399 is admitted.
You mentioned you sent this at about 3